What magic do these roads hold? What is their secret that lures the passionate, that demands their return year after year? Could it be the yearning to conquer the twists and turns? Or is it the exhilaration of hitting top speed on roads that you can never race? Or the adrenaline that is released into the blood from braking so late? What is it that stirs one's spirit to race, to go as fast as you can? No one here can deny that there is a connection when a car is built or prepared from parts laying on a garage floor. A romance between man and machine. No one will pretend that this is not an obsession, or deny there is a deep passion sparked from that first glimpse of the infectious roads. All confess to an addiction to the adrenaline as it pumps around the body, causing your pupils to grow larger and the sweat to drip down your back. We can measure how fast they go, but what we can't measure is the fixation to compete year after year. It's not about notoriety or prize money. None of these will become world champion. They're like a group of surfers sharing a quest to find that perfect wave. TARGA is what happens when those with that addiction shut down 39 stretches of the best rallying roads anywhere in the world and race the clock and themselves. It's the rawest form of all motorsport, where legends compete with the novice side by side, where winning is not always the aim, but where camaraderie overtakes competition. So what is it that rises inside those who know the secret? TARGA, and the mother of them all is TARGA Tasmania.
The first day of competition is known as Day Zero. It's a warm-up for what follows, an appetiser before main course.
3, 2, 1, cut the ribbon, TARGA Tasmania 2014 is go. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Launceston hosts the first 3 days of TARGA, but the first time stage is held 50 kilometres north of the city in one of Australia's oldest settlements, Georgetown. Now very much an industrial heartland, the town has not been immune from the shaky economic times. Families have relied on big business here for generations. The people are honest and hard-working. On this day, Georgetown comes to a standstill. Businesses close their doors for a few hours, workers take a longer break than usual, and the school bell sounds early for the traditional introduction of the 24th running of the TARGA warm-up, or prologue as it's officially called. Like many of the school children that line the course, competitors joke and laugh, full of nervous energy. The moment they have eagerly waited for more than a year is here. field of over 180 provide the town plenty to see. The 4.5 kilometre Temco prologue is lined with fans and only whets the appetite for those lucky enough to compete. While the times don't officially count, the crowd has plenty of interest in who can set the fastest speed around these streets. Once again, it's the local favourite, Jason White, with his uncle John. They're Targa legends now, and today they're fastest. It's been a tough personal road on the way to Targa, with the recent death of Jason's father and grandfather.
When Dad was alive, we were always out there trying to make him proud and try and see that tear in his eye at the end of that proud tear in his eye at the end of an event's the sort of thing that spurs you on. So that feeling will still be there, but probably even stronger.
They set the pace and came in 2.8 seconds faster than second place Steve Glennie in his GTR, with previous winner Tony Quinn in third.
It was really good to get right on the limit with the car, and it's definitely snappy and handles well through the tight stuff. So we just got to go and get used to what it's like in the fast stuff.
I mean, the Evo is a car that I've won this event before in, so it's very capable. So I think he's certainly chosen well. If he couldn't be in a Lambo, that's probably the next best thing. So he'll be very quick. There's a heap of GTRs that are quick too. So I think it'll be a good battle.
Targa has cars of all varieties and vintages. They race in their own competitions. And the best of the classics is the Jensen CV8 of Peter Ulrich, finishing 4.7 seconds faster than Ted Banks' 71 Porsche 916. Andrew Madecki took a more conservative approach to the prologue and is expected to be the pace setter for leg one.
The car's very fast, and my job will be to keep it on the island, keep the speed up so that we get to the checkered flag, hopefully without a problem.
Targa's really the grand final for us. Yeah, the championship's important, but it's all about a TARGA Tasmania win. Yeah, it's flat out all week long.
The GT2 RS was very special. In a Porsche, he brakes very late because it's one of the great attributes of the car. Way back in 1955, I was 11 years of age, and my father, bless him, took me to the Longford motor races. I found it exhilarating to see these people driving that fast or riding that fast and being so skillful and so brave, and it really got to me. I thought, this is just amazing, and I was absolutely smitten, and that just got me on the road to spectating all different forms of motorsport, and then it just developed on from there. Tarmac rallies are very, very special events, and TARGA Tasmania basically is the Bathurst of all tarmac rallies. At the end of the day, this is the one that everybody wants to compete in. It's not just the competition, it's the camaraderie. I mean, you don't see people from one year to the next, but you feel as though you're good friends. The first year we did the event, we were in a Porsche 968 Club Sport. We both fell in love with the car. The last one we had, the GT2 RS, was absolutely awesome. It developed about 640 horsepower, twin turbocharged, just awesome performance. The first thing with Porsches is reliability, and we've had the odd problem, but nothing major. Secondly, you can punish the car and it'll stand up to it. You don't have to pussyfoot. The brakes are just absolutely incredible. You never ever have to worry about brakes. We've been able to get through Targas on one set of brake pads, and there'd still be half a pad left at the end of the event. Nowhere else in the world do we have an event of this nature where you have 8 races per day for 5 days straight, and you don't traverse the same piece of road twice in the same direction. The result isn't the focus. The result for Jim and I is the mere fact that we get the opportunity to drive on some brilliant roads without worrying about getting booked and doing something stupid, and just enjoying a great motor car and our friendship. It lifts you as a co-driver as well. You know, you feel yourself being lifted to another level, and there's that great challenge. You know, when you line up at the beginning of a stage, you've got your notes at the ready, there's that adrenaline rush that you get. And especially if you're lining up to something like Sathana, there's a challenge to try and get every note right and just go through the stage with a nice consistency and rhythm. From a personal point of view, I get a great buzz out of it, like a great thrill to be in a fantastic motor car that I could never afford to buy or drive. I feel very, very privileged, and I say that quite honestly, to be able to sit beside one of the all-time greats. For me, to be able to sit beside him and do what we do has just been absolutely amazing. It's been extraordinary. And I know there'd be hundreds of people out there that would give their right arm to be in that seat where I am.
TARGA Rally takes place over a gruelling 6 days with over 2,000 kilometres to travel. Following on from the warm-up prologue, the competition begins in earnest on Wednesday. Leg 1 heads northwest from Launceston and starts with a new stage in the sheep grazing area of Westwood and takes in stages around Devonport, with highlights being Moriarty, Paluna, Sheffield, and finishes with the tough Mount Roland stage. The final 3 stages of the leg are testing and amongst the competitors' favourites. Leg 2 and the field journeys through the mountains to Tasmania's magic east coast. It starts with Ross Arden, Elephant Pass, before hitting the coast and then widening back to the Sideling for a final stage at Longford, a town with a ripe motoring history. Leg 3 sees the long run to Strawn on the west coast via Ulverston, with the testing Sathana early in the day, then Castra, Isandullah and the classic Hellier Gorge, the demanding Plimsoll, and finishing with Rinadina near the overnight stop in picturesque Strawn. Leg 4 stretches the west coast from Strawn to Burnie and return, starting with the stages of Reese Dam and Pyman, then Murchison, Natone, Guns Plains, Rihanna, then on the way back to Strawn through Mount Black and Rosebery. The final day, Leg 5, and it's the traditional stages of Strawn, Queenstown, the massive 58-kilometre Mount Arrowsmith, then Tarraleah. After a lunch service, it's the very quick stage of Ellendale returns to the course, with the final run into Hobart through Grass Tree Hill finishing off the rally. The teams celebrate at Rest Point in Hobart. The classic competitions of TARGA Tasmania 2014 attract those with a sentimental heart of travelling in classic cars on classic roads. It doesn't get any purer. This section of TARGA is a collection of classic marques released up to and including 1985. It's broken into 4 separate competitions, allowing for cars to compete like for like. There's a race for the outright fastest classic car on the road, but the competition is then handicapped into 2 sections, early and late classics. The Shannon's Classic Florio is the gentle section of the rally, and these cars only compete on 4 days of competition. Having won TARGA High Country and TARGA Rest Point, former Tasmanian Andrew Madecki is the favourite in this beautifully restored 1970 Ford Piranha. Another seasoned campaigner, Craig Haseman in his TR7, will definitely be in the mix, having taken out round 1 in Adelaide. He's been Madecki's greatest threat in the past 2 rounds. With names like John Ireland, Barry Foe, Peter Ulrich, Bruce Power and Roger Patterson, the 2014 event will be one of the toughest to pick a winner if everyone is on their game. Leg 1 of TARGA Tasmania 2013 is a loop from Launceston to near Devonport and return. The power was on from the start. Madecki might have taken the prologue easy, but was on pace from the outset with a 27-second lead over the Porsche of John Ireland by the break.
It's been a good morning's work. We're 45 seconds in front, so that's good. It gives a bit of a buffer.
Moriarty was the undoing of John Ireland, passing second place to the TR7 of South Australia's Craig Haseman. Mount Roland is one of the toughest of Leg 1 and Madecki extends his lead. His experience and determination evident, the gap out to 1 minute and 24 seconds. His opponent stunned by the Piranha team's display. Haseman was left to ponder his options, while Ireland was hanging on to third.
Just have to be a shadow, have to be there and keep him honest, you know.
Winter has arrived early in Tasmania. A beautiful but cold morning greeted competitors for Leg 2, with the rally heading to Tasmania's golden east coast. Ross Arden, in the shadow of Ben Lomond, is the first stage for the day. The Piranha is again flying, and Medeki's relentless. He stretches his lead out to over 2 minutes after just 10 stages. It's dominating classics, but his times are up there with the fastest in the modern section.
Still adjusting this car to find exactly the right setup, chassis setup, and so I've softened the springs overnight, and it's faster, so yeah, it's great.
Dropped a bit of time, which a little bit unfortunate. We had a little bit of a crack on the last one. We've just got to make a few suspension modifications during the lunch break, and hopefully we can get back on the pace this afternoon.
As the cars head up into the hills, Medeki is out to prove he's no slouch on the climbing stages. The lead extends to almost 3 minutes, with the Hero sidling stage laying ahead. But his next stop will be the garage. Medeki's dominance was over, perhaps pushing the Piranha too hard.
It's broken a bolt in the steering most of the way through the sidling stage. Anyway, it looks like we've lost 20 minutes.
Hazeman takes a 1 minute 23 lead after the traditional Longford stage over the Mazda of Barry Foe. Peter Ulrich bringing the Jensen CV8 into third.
We've had a couple of issues over both days. Today we had a bad vibration, so we couldn't use our secret weapon, which is top speed. So that held us back a few seconds.
Leg 3 would be tough on the cars in the classic competition, and on the second stage of the day, Sathana, it's the 37-kilometre marathon. Medeki has fixed the suspension and is again the swiftest of the classics, but Hazeman would keep his lead constant across the morning.
We dropped a few seconds, gained a few seconds, and we just this afternoon there's 2 stages that I really enjoy, whether it's wet or dry. So we'll have a crack on those and see if we can pull a bit more time out.
We've had a good morning, and the intermediate always unsettles people, but we seem to drive through there without any trouble.
The afternoon stages through the Strawn had Hazeman full of confidence, and the TR7 extended the lead over Barry Foe to almost 2.5 minutes.
We just drive our own race. We don't chase anyone. That's the first way to end up around a tree.
So at the end of leg 3, Craig Hazeman leads the classic outright competition from the Mazda of Barry Foe, with Peter Ulrich's Jensen in third. The Mazda RX-7 of Steve McClintock sits in fourth, with the Porsche 911 of Roger Patterson rounding out the top 5.
I think I'm just having to wait for my Bradbury moment. I don't think we're going to catch any of those top 4.
In the Shannon's Lake Classic handicap, the Porsche 944 of Lee Achterbird leads from Barry Foe and the Ferrari of Robert Gambino.
We'll just keep pushing the way we are. We've got soft tyres that we're just putting on the car, expecting the rain and hoping for it. So, you know, we prefer the rain. It brings everyone else back to our speed.
In the Shannon's Early Classic handicap, Peter Ulrich comfortably leads from the Volvo of Andrew White, and Paul Freestone's Holden lies in third.
It's like a drug. I mean, you just got to keep coming back. It's the only event that you could have this sort of fun on an open road. That's what got me hooked. Once the hook was in, of course, you can't get it out. Having the car right, navigator right, driver right, you're in 7th heaven. I've always loved driving on the open roads, and I live close to the Dandenong Ranges in Melbourne, and I used to spend every waking moment that I could up there driving around the mountains, probably terrorising the locals. So I always loved driving undulating roads, and this is what we have in Targa. I started Targa in 92 in a 1965 Lotus Cortina, fantastic car. Did the first 2 years in that. I've been doing the event in this car since 1996. I've been driving Porsches since 1976. Got to know them pretty well over the journey, and I've just always loved Porsches. Rear engine motor, they're not easy to drive, but once you get the hang of how they handle and know their limitations, they're a lot easier than most people think they are. I've been doing Targa for 23 years. It's like a big family. You know, all of the officials, the volunteers, the competitors, most have been coming back year in, year out. I know most of them, and we have a great time. The most memorable Targa story, I suppose, would have to go back to the first one in 1992. We were travelling along okay, and we pulled into a service station at Zeehan to get some fuel, and Sterling Moss pulled in beside us, and he actually challenged my navigator to a race. Lee got back into the car and said, "Jeff, you wouldn't believe this, but Sterling Moss has said he's been looking at you and he wants to challenge you." So off we went, and 30 seconds later he departed and we never saw him.
Did you beat him?
Well, I didn't beat him. He actually gained 19 seconds on me.
As forecast, the rain hits the west coast for the start of leg 4. Wet weather tyres are the order of the day as the field heads from Tasmania's west coast town of Strawn to Reestam, then to the north, en route to the seaside city of Burnie and back, through 8 testing TARGA stages and over 132 competitive kilometres. There's no four-wheel drive modern technology in the classic field, so torrential rain serves up a brutal day. Murchison is tight with very few straights to gather speed. It's slippery and tough to translate horsepower into speed and traction. It was too much for some, and the end for late classic regular Robert Gambino's Ferrari.
Car flies quite well, but it was a long way down before we stopped. For me, the opportunity at the championship, it's disappointing not to be finishing.
Also coming off in Murchison was the Datsun of Zach Cordo.
Lost a bit of traction on the white line and ended up in the ditch with a tree stuck in between the engine bay and the wheel. So, yeah, not good. I'm bloody kicking myself. Oh well.
Both Foe and Ulrich had problems in handling their cars in the morning.
It was really slippery and, yeah, we were sideways everywhere. Yeah, frightening.
I haven't been driving well, haven't been doing anything well. It's a bad day in the cabin, but we hope this afternoon it's better.
Craig Haseman extends his lead to 90 seconds, but it may not be enough.
Part of the strategy yesterday was to go hard on the last 3 stages to maximise the dry, because we knew the weather was coming in, and today it's just been horrendous. Like, really don't need that much horsepower in the wet.
Steve McClintock's Mazda RX-7 now into 5th.
If it gets a bit finer, we'll go a bit harder. We put some new tyres on this morning, so we should be set if it fines up. Otherwise, patience.
The next 2 stages provide no relief. Rihanna, the end of the road for the escort of TARGA Adelaide winner Simon Hoff.
It's come to the corner and, yeah, no traction at all, and off we went, straight over, upside down.
Late classic leader Lee Achterberg would also end his charge in Rihanna.
We turned in and it just started to drift sideways. We thought we'd caught it and then it just shot off the road.
The wet weather abated by the last 2 stages of the day, with both Mount Black and Rosebery drying, allowing the big V8s to come into their own. He's out of the hunt for a podium finish, but Andrew Madecki smashes the clock and, along with Barry Foe, is the fastest over the Rosebery stage. Haseman was having problems, and now the lead is back to just 48 seconds by day's end. In the late classic handicap, Barry Foe maintains his lead, with Peter Ulrich leading the early classic handicap. Mist and light rain greet competitors for the start of the final day's racing, with leg 5 in Strawn. Barry Foe was quick out of the gate, but big problems with Haseman's TR7 saw the lead vanish. Barry now leading by 5 seconds. Queenstown would see the RX-7 extend the lead, while Peter Ulrich is the quickest in the early classic field. Ulrich has a huge buffer, but the Mount Arrowsmith 58-kilometre marathon would be the end of the road for Ulrich's beautiful Jensen CV8.
Oh, damn. Guess what? I just threw it all away.
By the Tarraleah lunch hold, Barry Foe holds a 51-second lead with just 2 stages to go.
We prayed to the water gods and they obeyed, and all the stages were wet, which suit us, so we've had an absolutely huge drive.
Haseman is left wondering what had gone wrong.
Mount Arrowsmith Barry Folk was directly behind us. He caught us about halfway through. We basically sat on his tail for the rest of Aerosmith, following his lines. Barry did a fantastic drive on Aerosmith, so my hat comes off to him there.
Ellendale, added to the leg this year, provides extra drama at the event's 11th hour. Craig Haseman, keeping on the pace, comes unstuck. His chance for Targa glory gone yet again with inside of the finish line.
I hit that crest too hard, came around, back end, stepped out, it's all over. What can I say? Another Targa not completed.
A sensational drive over Grass Tree Hill sees Barry Foe take the RX-7 to his first TARGA Tasmania title. The Porsche 911 of Roger Patterson second, Steve McClintock third.
We knew we were behind this morning, and we knew that we were good in the wet if we really focus. I said, Teresa, we've got to concentrate their headaches, and we just blitzed it. We got the tyres hot and we drove the wet like it was dry and had the best day ever.
Foe also takes the Classic Handicap title over Steve McClintock, with Andrew White winning the Shannon's Early Classic Handicap from the Holden of Paul Freestone.
This thing is a monster. It's relatively heavy, it goes very, very fast. It stops reasonably well, but not as well as you'd like it to. If you're a motor racing enthusiast, it's just the best fun you can have. I guess it's a challenge. Don't know, I can't, my wife can't work it out. I can if I can. Back in the 60s when the horsepower race was on, in America, Dodge, Chrysler, Chev, they all built muscle cars. And this was one of Ford's answers back in the 60s. They raced these in NASCAR and also drag raced them as well with monster engines. And as you see it, big intakes, big bonnets, big everything. I started in open wheelers, which is about as far removed from this as you could possibly think of. We raced Formula Pacific for about 5 years, and then when that category folded, we bought sedans and started racing them. And yeah, we built this just really to do Targa. A couple of mates of mine talked me into coming over many years ago, and they said it's real easy and just come over with any car, and we bought a Bathurst Falcon across. And it just about destroyed me. It really beat me up, so we had to come back the next year and do it again, and then we got hooked, and we haven't really stopped since then. If you want to push the car a bit, it does get very, very tough. A little bit dangerous, but you've just got to be careful with what you do and just make sure you're going to look after your mate who's next to you. But it is a physically demanding exercise, it really is. Many corners. Never seen so many bloody corners. The roads here are just so magnificent. I don't think people here understand just how good they are. Servicing usually entails every night rotating the tyres, changing them from front to back diagonally. Quite often bleeding the brakes, filling it with fuel, which is a big task. Really, unless something breaks, it's just nut and bolt stuff. You do a spanner check on the vehicle, clean the windscreen so you can see out of it, and pretty much it. It's fairly reliable. We don't really have a lot of trouble with it. It's just this great feeling. There's nothing like it. You launch a big car or a powerful car, and it's just gear after gear after gear, it just keeps pulling. The tacho goes like that, and it's indescribable, it really is. It's a bit of a show-off, really. It's the biggest car in the field, it's the noisiest and the loudest. But it's just, I've been racing big stuff for a long time now, and it gets into your blood, I guess.
TARGA Tasmania is the last round of the Australian TARGA Championship. Steve Glennie claimed round 1 in Adelaide. Jason White took out round 2 on the roads around Mount Buller in Victoria. TARGA rest point went to Matthew Rickards when Steve Glennie suffered mechanical problems. Jason White's rest point TARGA was heartbreaking.
Offer it.
The fire spelt a $600,000 damage bill. The Lamborghini's owner, John White, Jason's uncle, had considered giving TARGA Tasmania a miss to spend the autumn rebuilding the car. Instead, he decided to enter his spare car, a 2006 Evo 9 that had never before seen TARGA action. Day one, and the Evo was a lot quicker than anyone could have predicted. Everyone knew it wouldn't be as quick as the Lamborghini, but they were a lot more competitive than they'd imagined. Steve Glennie in his GTR was the clear favourite, and early going he records some very quick times and is well in control. After leg one, he's carved out a lead of 27 seconds over Matt Close. Leg two, Glennie, Close, White and Vandenberg trade times. Glennie just can't secure the advantage he needs. Leg three is a carbon copy of the previous day, a very tight tussle. The last stage of the day is the run into Strawn, and Glennie's little glitches have blown into a massive problem.
Line 8 right mid. We heard a little noise that we weren't sure about and thought the best thing to do was just to be safe. Yep. You know, got a long way to go yet, so rather than pushing through, all we did was pluck fifth gear and leave it there and drove probably 75% of the stage in fifth gear. We've only dropped 15 seconds and yeah, we're in a good position just to, you know, check it out and make sure it's all good.
Like classics, there are several different competitions that teams can enter. Early moderns are for performance vehicles manufactured from 1996 to 2002, and the Skylines have regularly been the ones to watch. Ben Mannion comes in as favourite. He's a local with 8 Targas behind him. He's desperate to make it back-to-back wins. He leads after day one over the Porsche of Peter Nunn, with Stephen Thatcher in third and hoping to do better than his third place last year. Mannion's experience proved beneficial on leg two and he increases his lead. He's feeling confident that he can claim another title. On day three it's no different, and with wet weather looming, he's glad to be well in front. He knows the wet and slippery conditions could hurt him, but his Nissan Skyline is performing reliably. But in Targa, as any competitor knows, you can't be too confident. It's still early days. The glitzy showroom vehicles have attracted the country's top drivers, none with more cred than 7-time Bathurst winner Jim Richards, along with his trusty co-driver Barry Oliver. Porsche has seen an opportunity to put its new offering, the 2014 Cayman S, to the test entering in this year's TARGA Tasmania, and who better to put behind the wheel than Richards.
This is the first time that I've driven a car like this, and I've got to say, out of the 22 events we've been in, this is the best car I've driven in a rally.
He's the man to catch, and on day one takes a 2.5-minute lead over category hopeful Michael Minshall in an Audi TT-RS. Glenn Crimp sits in third. Richards wins all stages on day two, doubling his overnight lead, and he's now almost 5 minutes ahead of Minshall. He's finding the Porsche is good to handle and almost as fast as the GT2. With Richards blazing along happily, he cements his status as the one to beat on day three. Minshall and Glenn Crimp chasing. They'll need something extraordinary to happen to snatch the lead from the Targa great. While Richards is a crowd favourite, the real competition is looming in four-wheel drive showroom. Just seconds separate rivals Clinton Arentz, a circuit racer, and local hope Ben Newman. Both are here to win.
Angus, isn't it? Yep, Angus, over a bridge, 9 right short.
It's a neck-and-neck battle with only seconds separating the pair in the first 2 days. Newman in a Subaru Impreza WRX STI stole back the lead on the second day, but remained just 12 ahead of the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10. Arentz retakes the honours on day three. It looks like Newman is having some troubles. He's lost some boost.
We lost a fair percentage of our turbo boost this afternoon, so it limited the power, especially up hills and so forth. So we've hung on, dropped I think about 20 seconds from where we were, so I think we're now 4 seconds off the lead.
Often in the 23 years of Targa, the first 3 days provide just a taste. This is a race of attrition, and once again, events would transpire and give testament to this fact. In Modern, Steve Glennie's service crew spent the entire night replacing the gearbox. The onboard computer won't sync with the new gearbox, and Glennie and Webb had no option but to retire from the event. Jason White has snared the lead. The roads aren't just wet. Teeming rain is creating treacherous conditions for a field who have already completed more than half a rally on their tyres. Rihanna is a small farming village in the hills behind the northwest city of Burnie. It's home to less than 300 people, but the rich red soil is perfect for crop growing and the roads that intertwine the farms perfect for targa rallying. It's as challenging as it is picturesque, and the veteran himself, Jim Richards, bows out, hitting a fence, cracking the radiator.
Just a glancing blow, you might say, and just hold the front radiator. So it leaked all the water out, obviously, so we just turned it off and parked it.
It will also spell the end for Jason White.
Just had nothing, just touched the brake and from a mile back and just couldn't do anything, just like ice. Off we went. The guys want to get it going tonight so we can go and try and get back down to the finish at Hobart, which would be good, but yeah, it was sort of more shattered about the fact of why we were doing it, and it was all a tribute to my old man, and it's all gone by the wayside, I suppose.
True to history, the Targa leaderboard has been well and truly shaken up. Jamie Vandenberg and Matt Close, 1 and 2 on the leaderboard, and only 4 seconds separate them. The race was on. Mount Black, now a very different challenge for Vandenberg and Close. Close and Vandenberg record the exact same time. The last stage of the day, the 17-kilometre Rosebery stage, and it's Vandenberg who sets off to make his mark. He's 12 seconds faster.
We couldn't really ask for a better result, so that we went out with our aim this morning to catch Close. He'll take some time off him, but to catch him and take 20 seconds out of him is awesome.
Today was a day for surviving and getting the car back here, so we've achieved that, and we'll have a look tonight to see what the difference is. I think there's probably only 10 or 15 seconds in it.
Tony Quinn is sitting in third, more than 4 minutes behind Close, and a healthy gap back to the fourth placed Evo of Winterbourne.
I won't go to the moderns, not keen on air conditioning and cruise control. I reckon you've got to drive them. The vintage cars are real seat-of-the-pants driving. There's nothing to assist you. This is proper motor racing. It's a 1934 IndyCar Special. It was built about 12 or 13 years ago, and it's a Group K car, so it's a genuine historic race car in Australia. It's using original parts. We've got a flathead V8, triple Strombergs, old 3-speed crunch box, Ford diff, and 2 fairly ordinary springs under her. So yeah, she handles a bit like a dray, but does go. She's fairly quick. I love the event. We can bring down old jiggers like these, and it is a hell of an endurance event. You know, it's hard work to get to Hobart on a Sunday night. Probably more so in these things, but in any car, you know, it's a fairly tough ask. It is a rush, it really is a rush. If you get it right, it is a real high. You get it wrong, it can go pear-shaped pretty badly and fairly quickly, but no, it's awesome. I just love it. Love racing cars, and I love building them. Driving these things fast and on the edge, it's dangerous. So yeah, you run on adrenaline. You really are sitting on adrenaline, riding on it. You trust your navigator to the hilt. If he stuffs up, we both end up in the bush, just as much as if I stuff up, we both end up in the bush. So the danger part, which we don't like telling our wives and girlfriends about, that's part of the rush. Your concentration levels are so high right to the finish. So something like Aerosmith, 50-something Ks, and to get it right is hard work, but it's a really rewarding experience. If you get it right, you know it, and it's been a hell of a hoot. The course is a hell of a challenge. Like Georgetown, the town events are great. Crowds are there, you go sideways, you smoke your tyres, that's all fun. When you get to Sathana, Sathana's up the mountain, across the ridge, down the mountain, into the valley and back up. It's a huge thing, especially in these old girls and the classics. You know, you run out of brakes, your tyres bloody start to wear, you have real issues. So spectacular bloody sights that we go through. I went through Arrowsmith years ago and it was snowing the whole length of it. We have a hell of a party here. I meet all my friends again, I catch up for the yearly thing. Yeah, tell everyone how good we used to be. That's much important. Targa Bar's awesome. And we catch up with friends. Like part of this race, we got down here, we had a really bad oil leak. Greg Garwood, one of the locals we've met and known for years, opened his workshop, helped us fix it, welded it up, got us back in. Like we would have been out of the event without guys like that. So that part of it I love, that we come down and we meet all these friends, catch up and you build relationships. And they're all redheads, they're all mad. Spent far too much money on cars.
Day 5, and Targa crosses through the most isolated parts of this small island. The scenic backdrop seems to evolve from desert-like hills to dense forest to open farming plains. More than a third of the field has not made it to this point and won't complete the challenge of making it to Hobart and experiencing the exhilaration of crossing the traditional finish line at Australia's first casino, Hobart's Rest Point Tower. Among those who hit trouble on day 4, what's known as Super Saturday, is early modern category favourite Ben Mannion. He relinquishes his lead after dominating the entire event in his Nissan Skyline GTS-T. Liam Howarth, also in a Skyline, has a great run, catapulting from 5th into 1st place, and his GTR V-Spec heads into the final day with a 2.5 minute advantage over 2nd place Richard Perini. Howarth knows he's got a good buffer, so plays it safe to protect the lead he secured yesterday. He holds on to cross the finish line and claim victory. It's a big moment, and it's been 5 years in the making. This is Howarth's best result in any Targa. With Richards out, the battle for showroom sports has come down to a 2-horse race between the 2 Audis. The 2011 Audi TTRS of Michael Minchell and the 2012 model of Glyn Crimp. Minchell secures a handy lead going into the final and only has to make sure he crosses the finish line to claim top spot, left vacant by Richards.
Michael Minchell and Curly Gentlemen!
Minchell claims the title, a mighty 14 minutes, 46 seconds ahead of Crimp. But the biggest margin of all categories was secured in showroom. It was an emphatic victory for Andrew Bolam, competing in a Renault Megane. He finished almost 17 minutes ahead of his nearest rival. It had been a pretty smooth run all the way to Hobart for Bolam after the category was left wide open when favourite Adam Spence missed stages on day 1 and was out of contention. In the 4-wheel drive showroom category, Clinton Arons capitalised on the woes of Ben Newman on day 4 and pulled away to hold a comfortable 1.5 minute lead heading into the final day. Newman and co-driver Crichton Lewis working frantically to get back into the race in what had been one of the closest contests in the event. It would be Mount Arrowsmith that would almost certainly put Newman out of title contention. He lost 53 seconds and Arons built on his margin.
9 right mid brow, fast left over a crest. Fast left over a crest, straight 250.
It had taken Arons almost 5 days to shake off Newman, but the decision to drop back from modern into showroom 4-wheel drive eventually paid off for Arons as he secured the title. In modern, the battle has come down to the wire, and it's the hard yakka of Mount Arrowsmith that will make or break the charge of Close. Vandenberg has widened the gap on the first 2 stages. Close has one of his best drives, and he takes 9 seconds back to shorten the margin to 14 seconds. Vandenberg hits trouble, and reaching Hobart is going to be a challenge.
I think we just hit an engine. So I've got no idea whether to get to the finish or not. It's cruel sport, but we can just sort of cruise and sort of see where we go.
The close charge is looking more likely, but it's short-lived. In a gut-wrenching turn of events, Close crashes out. Close seems destined to never win this event, having been so very close so many times.
Look, I don't know. It's pretty disappointing when this sort of thing happens, when we've played it safe all week and had a really good strategy, and just to have another guy that's not looking in his mirror. We came up on him pretty quick, but I mean, as I said, he started left and stayed left and washed us out off the right-hand side of the road, so I don't know what you do.
But Vandenberg was not in a position to pop the champagne cork just yet. Smoke is billowing from the exhaust. It's an ominous sign. Everyone cleans Ellendale except him. He's limping badly and drops 17 seconds. Even more reason for Close to lament. With just one stage to go, getting to the finish line is now the aim for Vandenberg. He leaves the start line of Targa Stage 40 and makes his run into Hobart. Vandenberg passes the finish line on the last stage, but it's not over. He must now nurse the GTR to the actual finish line. His GTR passes the finish line with a whimper, not able to go any further.
Coming over the finish line into Tararlee, it just went bang and like dropped 2 cylinders and smoke everywhere, and put 3 litres of oil in our lunch, and we thought our race was over. We virtually just pulled the pin and thought we'll just cruise to the finish, and obviously Closey went off. So I thought all we do is got to get to the finish, but the noise it was making, I've got no idea how it even got here.
One of the growing classes in TARGA Tasmania is Regularity. It's where crews drive to a predetermined average speed over the event's closed road stages. This year, the category's drawn a mix of makes and models, from a 1970 Triumph Stag to a 2013 Ford Mustang. Each stage is assigned a target average speed based on its condition of between 70 and 100 kilometres an hour. Drivers are restricted to 130 k's. The winner is the team with the fewest penalties by consistently matching target average speed. It's always hard to predict a winner in Regularity, as it's a true test of driver, co-driver and car. Regularity is also considered the friendliest of categories. Competitors help each other out and there's a real sense of camaraderie. At least that's what they say. Father and son team Philip and David Frith in a Porsche Boxster S come in as title holders and category favourites, but they'll be challenged by the likes of Martin Dersma and Alan Gluyas. On day 4, Darryl and Andrew Marshall have an off at the Rihanna finish line. In true Regularity style, other competitors chip in and give the pair a hand so they can get back into the event and make their way to Hobart. They'll make it there and eventually finish 5th, but it's seasoned campaigners Philip and David Frith who will add to the trophy cabinet and make it back-to-back wins. The champagne pours as hard as the rain on day 5 at the official finish. Drivers, navigators and service crews raise a glass to accomplishing one of the greatest motorsport challenges.
We're here. We've survived. The car survived, just. Yeah, I don't think it could drive another 5Ks.
We love it. This is our holiday. And if we came last, it's still our holiday.
I'm stoked. I could never have imagined we'd be finishing on the podium when I looked at the quality of the opposition at the start of the event.
It's been fantastic, but it's brought out the best in all of us, I think.
The winners of all 12 categories attract the attention of cameras and journalists. At this event, just getting to the finish line is not a cliche. This is an emotion based on pride and achievement, and it's reserved for those who choose to compete and conquer TARGA Tasmania, the ultimate tarmac rally.